topic today that I think is that just kind of came to me recently was, when all of this started with Corona Land, as I call it, that I noticed lots of people were talking about time, 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 you know, time, time. Somehow it was like, oh, I'm slowing down. Oh, life is speeding up. Um, it seemed like with home quarantine and that topic, all of a sudden that the issue of time kind of came to the surface. And so it kind of occurred to me that this was a real opportunity, because the insight that came to me that I kind of thought was funny was that since, I guess I don't even know if you can call it time, but as long as time has been around or life has been moving, as long as there's been life has been moving. Now, the way it looks to me is, I don't know this, it could be way above my pay grade, but time moves at the same pace. I don't think a year goes any faster than 365 days. I don't think an hour goes any faster than 60 minutes, So it's like, when it dawned on me, I was like, wait a minute. Maybe this Corona Land situation is giving us an opportunity to wake up to our individual pace of being. And so it's like, well, what do you mean by an individual pace of being? It's like, I feel like that we all of us, live in a pace of being. And it's so familiar to us. It's so real to us. It's so my life to us that we believe that that's the pace of life, because it's the pace of our life. So we think time speeds up. We think time slows down. We think we have more time. We think we have less time. We think we have lots of time. But it to me, it's an opportunity to kind of wake up to the flavor of time you live in. Like your very individual flavor of time. And what that can be kind of waking up to is like my flavor of time inside me is, I'm always behind. I'm always behind. Always behind, always behind, always behind, And that looked like life to me, that I'm behind. I need to catch up. But when it dawned on me with this insight about, wait a minute, time has always moved at the same pace forever, then my experience of time has nothing to do with the pace of earthly time. Because we're all going by the same calendar, the same clock, the same 60 minutes, the same 60 seconds in a minute. We're all moving. Our world is moving within that time construct. And so I think it's like, okay, so if I'm not living in quote unquote real time, the add-on to real time is the pace of our mind and the state of our mind in relationship to the clock. And I think that's the piece that is holding opportunity to wake up to. So if time doesn't look neutral, if time doesn't look, I'll just say, if time doesn't look neutral, that's a place to kind of get curious about how you hold time, how you have a relationship with time. So in that full disclosure of, you know, me kind of waking up to always being behind, got to catch up. There's not enough time. There's not going to be enough time. I'm curious to hear from you guys. And if for the ones that want to speak, if you just kind of reflected a second and was curious about how do you kind of, what's the climate kind of you live in inside you around time?
Hello? Can I go?
Oh, Marcia, please. Yes, I didn't see you raise your hand. Please.
Oh, well, I heard you saying about not enough time, not being able to catch up. And I always have opposite problem. I have a very, I don't want to say empty because that sounds negative. I don't have enough to do. And I never really feel like I have, you know.
Oh, okay.
Even when I'm busy, I still have plenty of time. Maybe it's because I live by myself and I don't have to take care of anything but myself. But I'm enjoying this quarantine more than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not scared. Maybe I'm supposed to be. I'm not. But it's just fascinating how. I mean, I was never somebody who was stayed at home. Never spent any time at home except to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, I don't know. I just am enjoying listening to these really deep intellectual podcasts and doing some painting and going on lots and lots of walks. And I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Well, so I don't have the busy. This probably didn't address what you were saying because I always feel like I have too much time.
See, that's the
opposite.
I think is the part of waking up to our normal pace of being is that until I really look around, it looked like you're just trying to, in my mind, it looked like I'm trying to catch up. In your mind, you carry time as being spacious. You got more than enough.
Even when I'm super busy, I'm so efficient that I feel like I just can just do everything and then still have plenty of time left over.
Excellent. That's there's no right or wrong here. It's just that exploring the notion of what is my feeling of time inside my head? So anybody else, but like, what's the feeling you have around time inside your head?
I'll go.
Pretty?
If nobody else wants to go, I really love this because, first of all, I think this is a remarkably pregnant, potent time of potential transformation in our lives. And I'm grateful for that part of it. And when I'm not in my empathic self, where I'm just feeling so much about others, I'm really joyful, which is why I like doing this project, because it gives me a sense that I can do something, because I just feel so bad for people right now. Kind of like, how dare you have a good day, when everybody else is suffering. So I'm having to work through that. But I really feel that the way transformation really shows up in one part is the way we construct our time and our day. The way we don't just fall back into old habits and old thoughts and get constricted by the pattern. And so I had this realization yesterday it went from realization to declaration, which is powerful when that happens. And it was so simple. It was all of a sudden I realized something that I would normally say, or Martin actually was showing me something he had done and it got me all excited. Normally we would say, we'd like to do that sometime. We'll put that on the calendar. We'll make a list. We'll figure out how. Somewhere it'll show up. And the truth is, most of the time, none of that gets addressed. you know, the most important things rise to the top. We're constantly at it, trying to keep up. And that's my construct. That's the way I normally do it. And all of a sudden I realized Martin had done something that normally he would never have done, that really represented a real creative expression. And so the cool part of you, my dear. And all of a sudden I went, you know, it's as simple as stop, like the world is stopped right now, and do it, and just do it. Because we get to do that now. There isn't 100 things pulling at us, you know, that we have to do. So it was so freeing when I realized all these ideas and all these things, they get to come in now. And I think,
and what
I'm like, go ahead.
I'm not just thinking, like, to the point, that's part of what we're waking up to. It's like, wait a minute, it could have always come in if I had that construct that I have something to catch up to.
Well, and I'm going to add one more, because I'm grateful that we have gotten to travel with Martin's health issues and everything. We never know when the day comes that time's up on lots of things. But so I'm grateful every time we get to travel and we get to make the best out of whatever it is that we're doing. But we got so that our schedule looked like we were always trying to figure out where we were going to get time at home, because we were realizing, great, we get to, you know, then there's another one for that month and another. And all of a sudden I'm writing down on my calendar, home, 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 like they really account for something. And every part of my being has been longing for this. And I don't feel that I got to run out there, because life's only good when I'm out there, you know, and I'm out there doing that thing, whatever it is. It's here. It's inside me, and there's time for being with that part of me now that I really feel I've been longing for. And then I just want to add this part about time, which is to always remember there's enough time. That we live in that state of enoughness, and it's only our mind that tells us that we don't. That's a normal and natural state, to be in enough, because there's always enough.
Yep.
So I don't know, I just kicked that one in there.
No, that's completely true. It's like time is neutral. Time is neutral, and anything that is the add-on is what is we added it on. You know, in a sense, it was an add-on. So Lisa, what were you going to share?
I was going to share that, like, my work life for this was very, very busy all the time, busy. And I really didn't feel comfortable with that. I never have my entire life. And then now that I can just be, I'm feeling so slow, but yet I really think that that's actually the way that I want to live. I feel like I'm taking in things more in detail, more slowly. It's more enjoyable and more creative. I look forward to doing creative things, going for walks, doing stuff that's actually, you know, slow, but that is probably more in tune with who I am and what I am, and more healthy. And I'm wondering how to carry that over, you know, when I have to go back to work. And that's just kind of trying to, you know, keep that enjoyable, pleasurable, kind of enlightening, fulfilling pace of things that are going on right now, that, like this Zoom and other Zooms and other connections, have been, I don't know, in a way almost as much or more intimate than actually getting together in a group, which is really strange. But it's really interesting. So it's my sense of time has changed, and where I really want to be has changed.
Exactly. And I think once we really see, again, how idiosyncratic my sense of time can be, but also, and once we get the connection between the pace of my mind and my experience of life, that's where the real leverage is. So you can be incredibly fast-paced if you're in the present moment, you're moving with time. You see? So it's another one of those opportunities to shed whatever. No, maybe you don't even have to shed it, because I don't know if you can shed it, but you can start to notice that how you're holding time is an aftermarket add-on, you know? So how you're holding it is you. Because really, when we're in the present moment, I think and our mind is quieter, or we're not living so much from our mind. Or even like in the circumstances that we have now, where our external we have some external mandates that are kind of rocking the boat or knocking on the door saying, can't do that. Then that's, again, an opportunity to wake up to this, all the things we kind of hold in place to be true and absolute about life. But the bottom line is, how much am I holding to be true about life? Not what's true about life, but what am I holding to be true about life? What am I holding to be true about life? And then,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I just say what's true about life is like finding out what's true about me, like what's true about my, what do I love most, and having the time to be with my dog, who's at her last stages of her life right now, is a blessing. And like, it kind of should be like that. I feel like. Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
No, but I'm saying it could be like that every day. This is one of the good things about this mandated change, is that we get to wake up to opportunities and options that we thought were life, but I get to see it more as, it's just an opportunity to wake up again. Phyllis, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I don't know, listening to all this, I wasn't thinking about time so much for myself, but I have noticed, like, I'm going to use my sister, for example. A friend of mine and I went and we parked back to back and opened our hoods, and we had a conversation, and my sister happened to, and this was at her restaurant, and my sister, happened to come up, and she looked so refreshed and so, beautiful, like she normally does. I noticed her light is shining brighter. And so I kind of started paying attention, and it seems like a lot of individuals, that seems to be happening. They are able to rest, and they're able to, think about things and actually sit down and relax and enjoy themselves. And I kind of was delighted to see that, because I watch my sister work herself. It seems like she's working herself to death, because she's at her bakery, 24/7, it seems like, and never has a break. And I was wondering what it would take for her to be able to do that, so she could get some rest. And it's like, I'm watching her, just shine like she used to. And it was kind of just a cool thing to observe. And then I was having a conversation with my friend along these same lines, and she was talking about her husband and how he needed rest, and he was working himself to death, and now he has a break and he's enjoying his life. And she's always complaining he doesn't help around the house and doesn't do things. Well, now he is, because I guess he's not worn out. And so I just think it's kind of a cool thing, and something that I'm going to, notice. And I hope a lot of individuals are able to experience that, because it seems like we're always so hurried and just, filling the time with something to do. And I know for me personally, I have my mother and my grandmother in my head, you're lazy, because I didn't have every moment of the day that I was doing something. And now, I've been able to let go of that. And it's just like, ooh, I've dreamed of this for 31 years. You know, I can do what I want when I want to, go to bed when I want to, go to the bathroom when I want to, and, you know, so on and so forth. So anyway, I just, I find this time very challenging in ways, and then very interesting. And I find the concept of time to me is like disappearing. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what it seems like to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, that's why I'm so glad that Marcia brought up her experience of time. And then we all get a chance to reflect on our experience of time. And I think it's so helpful in these conversations for people to give voice to their experience of anything, because then you can see that how you're experiencing it isn't an absolute. And it's not good, it's not bad. It's just waking up to how you're kind of holding it. Yes, Melody. Do you know how to, I'll unmute you, Melody, 1 second. I'll unmute you.
It's okay.
Okay.
Well, I think we'll all agree that the planet's been out of control. You know, just moving, everybody's been moving so fast in this culture, and I'm grateful for the slowdown. But you know, I'm not one of those people who are panicked by this pandemic. You know, I'm of the belief that it's, you know, that I'm staying well and healthy, and that this is an opportunity for a reboot or a realignment, or just reassessing our lives and seeing what's important, and seeing what we choose to make important. Because I think we've been just going on automatic. So many people are on automatic, and to have the big halt happen to us, that means that we have to find out what's important to us, and what our priorities are, and what we need to do. I know for me, I'm cleaning up a lot of stuff that I've been putting off, a lot of procrastination, and I'm not doing as much all the time, but when I do, I clear out some garbage from my life. But I'm also, you know, somebody said, I have a lot of Zoom calls. I have a lot of these kinds of meetings to attend, and a lot of connection. I personally don't think that we're social distancing because we're socializing right now. I think it's a physical distancing that we're doing, that we can't be together physically, but we can be together socially. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a misnomer about what we're being required to do. I don't like that we're having to have this much physical distance, because I just don't believe it's necessary. But I'll go along with the plan, and hopefully, you know, it'll all be lifted in a fair amount of time. But in the meantime, there's lots of really good lessons in it, and you know, how to live, how I want to move into my future. Because the future on the planet and the future in this country is unknown. It's
always has been, you know.
I'm sorry?
Always has been. This kind of wakes us up to the, but it's always been uncertain.
It's always been unknown, but this is a different unknown.
It's a different unknown, but it's still always been an unknown in that sense of we thought what would happen Thursday was going to happen, but you know, now it's kind of like, I think that brings a lot of that uneasiness of waking up to like, we didn't know, you know, people thought they knew, was like, wait a minute, I guess I really never knew that what life was going to offer in a week. We really didn't. Not to sound scary, it's just like to get more of a realistic perspective of uncertainty. It's not a problem, it's just kind of the nature of life. Yeah. Good to see you, Melody. You know,
thank you.
When Melody was talking, it occurred to me, like, you know, when you were a little kid in summertime, and you didn't have a concept of time, you know, other than, you know, be home in time for dinner or be home before it's dark, what, that kind of, time didn't weigh heavy on you. Time didn't seem to be, Maureen, nothing happened on Thursday. It was just an example of, we don't really know what's going to happen a week from now. We don't really know. We never really knew what was going to happen in a week. So that was just an example to point to. But I think in the freer state of mind, or having a freer state of mind on the topic of time, points back to that natural state of being when we were little kids. We had a freer mind about time. So we had a different experience of it. We, at one point in time, did have a freer mind about time. And we can, at this moment, or any moment, get freer minded about time. So I'll come to Cheryl, and then I'll go to Linda. Linda, I just saw your hand raised. So, okay, Cheryl.
I actually was having this almost exact conversation with my business partner this morning. And we kind of came to the same conclusion, because he is finding himself with a lot of time on his hands. And it's an uncomfortable place for him. And I actually made some suggestions on, if it's that uncomfortable, then while you have this time, maybe figure out why it's uncomfortable. But I'm finding that I have found a pace of time that feels very natural. And I don't know that I had a way to describe it as well until I heard you talk about it. It's like I've found this rhythm in the last week to 10 days. The first week or 10 days we were in this, I was not good. I was uncomfortable with it all. I was scared, not panicked, but just, I live with an 84-year-old man who has, some minor health things. And I'm just, diligently trying to keep him protected. But I found this nice, comfortable rhythm with my day. And I stay busy pretty much from the time I get up until the time I go to bed. But I'm never pushing, like I'm never frantic. I'm never behind. I'm never ahead. I'm never anything. I'm always just in this rhythm of, doing one thing after another, things that I want to do, things that I need to take care of, but just a nice, beautiful, perfect rhythm. And I told him this morning, I'm like, I wonder if life could be like this post-apocalyptic. Because it's just it's a good rhythm for me. That first week or 2 weeks that this was going on, I had a lot of time to think, and I actually am spending a lot more time quietly with myself. I am meditating every day now. I'm reading every day now. I'm taking time. I take a hot bath almost every day, where I have time to just, and be with myself and be with my own thoughts. And I didn't allow myself that time before, because I was always busy, like doing. It was just a different kind of busy. Like I had to get this done. But the first week or 10 days, 2 weeks of this, I really I took some time to go inside and figure out what was really so uncomfortable for me. And it is the fact that my illusion of still having some kind of power and control was just that. And it's probably an ongoing struggle in my life, because I want everything to be exactly as it's supposed to be, right? And nothing ever is. But this really forced me into that place of going, I really have so little control over anything. And I've really narrowed it down to the things that I can control. I can control what's coming into the house for the most part, but I don't even have total control over that. I can control my behavior, and I have some control over my reactions to what's going on around me and to, the things in my life. But even that, I'm just much more at peace with being like, okay, I can't control it. So, my dad got sick, and I had to really face the fact that if it had turned out to be COVID-19, that I really would not have been able to do a thing about it. I couldn't go there. I couldn't do anything about it. And that hit me. That was probably the catalyst in making me realize that I mean, there really isn't anything I can do, except what I can do. And that has been very liberating for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would like to just hold on to it afterward. I hope I don't come back to being this neurotic person.
No, I don't think you will, Cheryl, because you see it's optional. See, all we have to do is just have a little bit of a crack to see that it's optional. And even like when you were talking too, what occurred to me is like, well, people say, well, there's a difference between when I was a little kid and today is I have deadlines. And it's like, things we have to do. And I don't know if y'all have done this, but you can notice how something can weigh very heavy on your mind that you need to do it. And for whatever reason, the timing is right and you do it. And then it took like this much time.
Yes.
Now, what separated you from being in the flow and just doing it? And it was not the deadline. It was not the task, but it was your state of mind and how you held the task. It was your state of mind of how you held the deadline. All of that was the busyness. It wasn't the burden of the task. And I think that's the option, Cheryl, you're kind of waking up to, going, wait a minute. It's all that busyness about what needs to be done. That's the part that can fall away. And another piece, like you're talking about, like we're in control of so little. The other piece is what's really true is we can only deal with what's here in present time right in front of me. Mm-hmm. That's it. Just address what's in front of you right here, right now. All that other stuff, all that scurrying was that aftermarket stuff that we're talking about, wow, really? You can only deal with what's in present time right here, right now. Right here, right now. And maybe that will help loosen some of that, like I keep saying, that aftermarket add-on that looks like it's life. It's like, no, it's not life. Yeah, the hula hoop analogy. Great. Linda, you had your hand raised. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I was late. I just lost track of time, ironically. Well, and so what was the question? I'm sorry I missed the introduction.
The topic for today is waking up to your pace of time, your normal pace of time, what you hold to be normal. And your example that you just gave, that feeling behind, it's that is just, that might carry, I'll just ask, is that live inside you in other times other than just coming to this call?
What, feeling like I'm behind?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And great. I haven't gotten enough done, and I didn't do it, and I procrastinated, and then, like you said, when I finally get around to doing something, it turns out to be much easier than I thought it would be, or at least not as bad, or not as hard, or not as time consuming, or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the kind of the trimming the mental fat, so to speak, that Cheryl was talking about. It's like we can trim that mental fat of like, wait a minute, seeing that as life, whatever it is for each one of us, is what burdens us. Not the flow of life, but all of that extra stuff is what burdens.
Yes.
And makes us feel heavy, or just for one facet of how we carry time. Like I said, Marsha had a very different experience, and I know everybody has a different experience, but how if I see time as a problem, say, well, like my father was such a gift, and in so many ways, and like he always told me, he said, don't wait for her to be on time. Don't wait for her to be on time. So all that stuff that was innocently added on about me being a problem in relationship to time, time being a problem for me. It's like all that is generated in the headspace because when we were little kids, you know, we were quite resilient around the topic of time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I've noticed is that okay. So I'm retired and live alone, and I was kind of, I was inclined to kind of go into my cave anyway. And so, the shift from what I was doing before to what I'm doing now has not been huge in terms of me being angsty about being alone or feeling isolated, because I am doing a lot of Zoom things, and I am in communication with some friends and so forth. And so in some ways my sense of time hasn't changed, and it's just that the new normal of whatever I'm dealing with to make my life work inside this construct is different now, and that takes up all my time. So I still have to tell myself, oh, or I don't have to tell myself. I do often tell myself, well, why aren't you getting anything done? And and why are you still procrastinating? And blah, blah, blah.
That's the fat I'm pointing to.
Yes, that's the fat. Yeah.
That's the fat.
And so I'm trying consciously to be with, this is what I'm experiencing right now. And my experience is to go watch television, and that's what I'm doing, and try not to make myself wrong for it. On the other hand, I have set a deadline for finishing my television time. So because I know I need to get more sleep than I'm getting. Some people were talking about things they were grateful for. And, one thing that's been really, really positive for me is that I've gotten back into cooking. And I've been trying new recipes and cooking things I never cooked before. And I had forgotten how much I enjoyed that. And so it's like, I'm having this, and most of the things I'm cooking are turning out really good. So I'm really enjoying what I'm eating, and I'm taking care of myself, because I've been doing the Whole30, which is a clean eating program that you do for 30 days to clean out your system. And, that would have been so much more difficult if I'd been going out for lunch and going to meetings and going to, events where there would be food, such as at your studio. Usually there's really tempting goodies.
That's true.
And I'm not, so I'm in the face of no temptation, literally no temptation. I'm sure I could find something in the back of the freezer, but, most of my eating choices are simple and healthy. And
what I'm thinking to that too is like how many people in their internal climate thought they didn't have time.
I think everybody else is on the call.
Didn't have time to do what?
But most people didn't think they had time to cook.
Mm-hmm.
That would be in that internal climate.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
So
yeah, and clearly I have plenty of time to do everything I need to do to take care of myself nutritionally, and that's been a good experience,
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else that hasn't spoken that might want to share something about their internal climate or something around time? Oh, you're welcome, Celia. Bobby, yes, please.
Well, I relate to a lot of things that people have said. I've had periods where, all my life, where I've felt like I had like huge expanses of time, and no matter what went on during that time, I felt like I was wasting time. I would think, oh, I've got all this wonderful time and I'm not using it, and then other times I think, oh, I've got so much to do. There's no way I can, so I get to pick, lots of options for space of time. And when I think about the time now, over this last little bit, I've gotten an opportunity or I've noticed that the things that I feel like I really need to take care of, I need to clear out clear out, do all this clearing out. And
So I decided, I really don't need to. I really can let my kids do that. They can just have some auction house come in and just take everything. It's not that big. And so that's been interesting, and it frees up a lot of my time. I don't have to think a lot about what I should be doing in that respect. But then I think, yeah, it'd be great to take this forward. But then I have a part-time job that I assume is going to be available to me if I want it after this is all over, and I really enjoy doing it. But I think it takes up so much time. It's many hours, in a day, depending, if I do that in a day, it seems like I don't have time to do anything but that. And so I'm wondering, how can I, how does that fit in with the rest of this?
Well, I'm thinking in that kind of in the jokester of our mind, it's like, well, how is it not a kind of a question of like, well, who made up that job takes up too much of my time?
It was me, but it was, it was based on truth, Cherie.
That's the fat, like way before we even realized we drank the Kool-Aid, we already have digested the Kool-Aid. It's already in our system that that job takes up too much work. That's the part that is like we can, because you want to wake up to it. If you'll look in that direction, you'll see that. Well, what if that wasn't true? That this takes up too much of my time. You can play with it from there. Like for even mine, I always play with it now. Like, well, what if that's not true, that you have anything to catch up to? It's like, I feel like, and then it kind of dawned on me. It's like, oh, this must be what a dog feels like that's always trying to chase a car. Remember the old days, a dog would chase a car? And then it's like, well, what would I do if I So it felt like the same kind of thing about just a dog chasing the car, when it was like, oh gosh, how much of it, if you played with whatever the climate is on the inside and played with it in the opposite?
Okay.
Just for giggles, you know what I mean? Just for giggles. Going, what if I just play with it on the opposite, that this job is not a burden of time, and I've got plenty of time to do whatever I want. That could easily open space. It's not.
Okay. It's definitely an idea with a hard shell on it.
Yes.
So a crack would be interesting, I think.
Yes, it's like, or even asking the question, what else is out there besides the notion that this job takes up too much of my time? There's got to be something else that could be true. That's only true if you believe it. It's only true if you believe it. But
Can I say one thing?
I'll consider that.
Somebody said something. Was that you, Bobby?
One quick thing. I thought I hated my job because it relates, I think. I thought I hated my job. I thought I hated my job for a really long time, like over 10 years more. And I suddenly said to myself, well, why am I still doing it then? And I started to ask myself, well, what is it that I like about it? And oh my God, I came up with a list of a whole bunch of things. And then I realized that's why I'm still doing it, because there's a lot of major advantages to it, and I actually don't mind it that much. So it was just weird. It was all in my head.
That's where all of this is. That's where all of this is. It's like if we can catch on to when we get hijacked by something that looks so real, so solid, so true, that's the piece where we can start to notice that's where we get hijacked all the time. Innocently. There's no harm, no foul. It's completely innocent. Martin. Oh, wait a second, Martin. Let me unmute you. Okay. Oh, you're muted on your side, Martin. Can you unmute you?
Yeah. Should be unmuted now. I have this term that I say about projects sometimes, that if I get involved in that, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. I have several things right now down in my studio that I really, really want to do, but I can't seem to make myself sit down in the chair and get involved in it because I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. And what I mean by that is I have this construct that is going to take so much time, and it's going to consume my afternoon or consume my day if I go down the rabbit hole. But these are things that 9 times out of 10, once I jump in and, like Trudy said, stop and do it, there is so much reward, and in the process of doing it, so much pleasure, and other things emerge that I haven't thought of in the process of doing whatever it is that I was going to go down the rabbit hole, that I find going down the rabbit hole is quite pleasurable. So it's a strange thing. It's like an inertia that we have to get over to get going. And once we get going, it's like, why didn't I do this all along? I mean, it's like you were saying earlier, these, things that we think are going to take so damn much time.
Mm-hmm.
But if we just stop and do it, it's very rewarding.
Absolutely. And like you said, to use your word, pleasurable and enjoyable. And it's like, who doesn't want a life with more pleasure and more enjoyment? Who cares?
And most, say that again.
I said, who cares what you're doing? You know what I mean? If it brings you pleasure and joy, what?
That's
right there.
That's right. And the crazy,
doesn't really matter what it is.
No, the crazy thing is most of these things that I've talked about that I have on my list are things that I love.
Yeah.
Why can't I just jump in and do these things that I love? And I'm finding that I'm jumping into more of them. And the other thing that comes up for me is that I've been thinking about what is different about this time right now that we're all being quarantined, cloistered, or whatever you want to call it, other than the things that creep in that we have all the choice over whether or not we go down the road of letting them into our life. And it seems to me that there's something about recognizing and creating boundaries for ourselves. And for me, I seem to be getting a little more. I've always resisted having a schedule or having things on a schedule or getting up and saying it from this time to that time, I'm going to do such and so. Well, I'm doing a little more of that now and finding that if I just stick to that schedule, I'm really getting more done that I really want to do. Mm-hmm. So it's been a very interesting period of kind of molding the time that I have.
Yep. And that too, Martin, I think is so fun to see that what we held in our mind is just not acceptable. You know what I mean? Schedule, structure, no schedule, whatever it is, you kind of, and then we do it and we go, because we have that innate resilience to rise to the occasion. And it's like the notion that I can't, or, that's not me and all that stuff, that's still that fat that can be trimmed, because it's like, well, give it a shot, instead of, we all tend to play it out up here before we just engage and do it. And then by the engagement, then we see what's really true. But up here, it feels real, but it's not real.
Yeah, we live in our head too much about these things before we get going on them.
Totally, we all do. But like Cheryl mentioned when she was talking about how she was noticing this, there could be this flow to the day. And if the flow, in this, giving your attention to the moment and the flow of the day kind of puts the moment in your face, and all that other stuff is still going to go on, but it's not where your attention's going to be. Your attention will be like in the moment, what's in front of me to be addressed. I guess that's a way of putting it. what's in front of me in real time right now to be addressed.
Yeah.
And that brings joy.
Oh
Like
my
really
gosh.
looking at that, like you get to choose what brings joy.
Isn't that
You
funny?
know? Much more often, it's like we're building a new muscle for it.
And we can find joy and enjoyment if you really look. It's like if you really give your attention to whatever it is right in front of you, you get engaged. It may not be pleasure like in the pleasure sense, but it's like the more you kind of get involved in what you're doing in the moment, the richer feeling fills you up. Whether it's like Linda cooking or whatever anybody's talking about, it's like the more you get involved in this versus, well, I shouldn't be spending my time with this, or I wasted my time yesterday. It's like, let me just get involved in what I'm doing, and then the involvement fills you up with a good feeling.
That's very true.
It's fascinating to me, you know. It's really, that's where it gets. It's not. We can. The more involved, or like even like, you know, it's like the more you give your heart away, you know, like even your inspiration, Trudy, to send the cards, you know, you get really involved, and then you're like, whoa, who knew that could. You didn't do it to get, but just getting involved in an inspiration just fills you up, even if you never got feedback from anything.
And just the following of that inspiration. It came up in meditation, you know, and just to follow however that thread wants to go. And, you know, and it's interesting how it's got its own little stories now that are heading out there. And yet how detached I am from it, because I come right back to the moment of doing it. And when I make the cards, which really does take more time than I wish, but it's okay, because it's just slow to be precise. I play, so that this is just think of another way of how we could cook more intentionally, how we could bring ourselves in, let anything shift us into a deeper state.
Yes.
So what I do is I play a mantra that really means a lot to me, but it could be anything that, you know, if anybody wants to know the name of this mantra, I'm happy to share that. But we play it, and it's kind of in a central place in our house, and you can get it so that it just kind of waves through the house. And I notice the whole time that I'm doing this kind of laborious, you know, paste stick thing, I just get deeper and deeper and let that literally permeate me and permeate what I'm sending out.
Yep.
And it's just in that one little nugget, it's a shift that, and I just want to add that one of my biggest, if I have a concern about this period of time, is that when it ends, because it will, that I haven't made the shifts that I know is really possible. That, I mean, this call is encouraging me to realize how sacred this time is, what is available in this time. And a lot of it is this very thing we're just talking about, because in the end, there's still 24 hours a day, and it is how we show up for that, each moment of it. So I'm really looking at that, boy, old habits die hard, you know? And
maybe
sometimes
they could die easy. Maybe they could.
Yeah, I mean, they really do need some of my habits need some real rethinking of boundaries, I have to say.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm so encouraged by this. Thank you. Just to think about it more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, totally. It's like I know our time is winding down, but I think that place of time is the fact of time is the same. My experience of time is on my side of the line. It's not dictated or mandated. That my experience of time, my experience of rush, my experience of whatever it is on my side of the line. And that is absolutely optional. That can shift and change and be different for me. It's not fixed.